So once you've verified your lausd.zoom.us account, the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our settings are secure and ready for our students. So on the left-hand side of our lausd.zoom.us website, you're going to find all the navigation sections: profile, meeting, webinars, recordings, settings, account profile, and reports. And on the upper right-hand corner, you're going to have your host a meeting option, join a meeting option, and schedule a meeting option. We'll talk about that in a little bit, about creating your recurring Zoom link that you'll use to embed into Schoology. All right, we're going to go back to our left-hand menu, and we're going to go down to settings. When we get to settings, we're going to go ahead and click on that. And we're going to skip some of the default settings. Some of the things that we don't need to worry about. We don't need to worry about the waiting room settings. We must always make sure that we require a password with scheduling new meetings. Don't worry, when I show you the way that we're linking our meeting URLs into Schoology, it's not going to require students to input a password the way we're going to set it up. But we still need a password to be added to the link. Okay, we can scroll down a little bit more. All of these are just default. When we get to schedule a meeting, make sure that your video is turned on. It just makes it easier. That'll be your students' focus. If you don't want to be on camera, you can always begin your host video and then share out your desktop or a slide where you maybe have a greeting for your students. We want to make sure that participant videos are turned off initially so that we can make sure that everybody's able to view the screen as clearly as possible. The more students you have logged on, the more bandwidth is being used. And for some students who don't have as fast an internet as possible, their ability to watch or listen is affected. So of course, you're going to have opportunities where you have your student interaction, but you may not want to do that when you have something to present to them where they might have to follow along. When we get to audio type, we want to make sure that we set a computer audio. We don't need the telephone option for our students. We want to make very sure that join before host is turned off. We do not want to allow students to start a meeting and be there without an instructor also there in the meeting. As we move down, there's a lot of other materials that are just default, already set up, nothing we need to change. When we get to the in-meeting basic settings, we want to make sure that the chat is on, but we want to make sure that participants are prevented from saving the chat. We want to make sure that private chat is turned off and that auto-saving chats is turned off. This is another important function, the sound notifications when someone joins or leaves. That's the little bell sound that you hear. We want to make sure that that's turned on and that's set for everybody. And we do this because, once you set up and start your meeting, we may get a little wrapped up in what we're doing, and that little bell sound alerts us when students are in the waiting room waiting to be allowed to enter. A lot of this is default settings. For the older grades, you might want to turn on the polling function so that you can integrate a little engagement to kind of sprinkle through your lesson. And I'll show you a little bit later how we're going to create our polling questions and how we go ahead and share those questions with our participants. We want to make sure that screen sharing is on and set to host only. You can allow other students or participants to show their screen through your presenter options at the top of your screen, but you don't need to set that as a default. We want to make sure that the only person able to share a screen at the beginning is just the instructor, and then as a lesson kind of rolls out and you wish to allow students to share their screen, that you enable and disable that feature. And again, I'll go a little bit more in depth as to how you do that when we talk the practical use of Zoom. We want to make sure disable desktop screen share for users is turned off. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time sharing your entire desktop with your students. We want to make sure that annotation is turned on, and we allow saving of shared screens with annotation. We want to make sure that our whiteboard function is turned on and that we are allowed saving of whiteboard content. And then this is all turned on by default, and we don't need to change anything here. In meeting advanced, the only thing we want to make sure is that breakout rooms are turned on and that you check off allow host to assign participants to breakout rooms when scheduling. And I will show you how you can pre-assign your breakout rooms and how you can jump from breakout room to breakout room to check in on student progress. And again, this is probably going to be for your later grades. And that's it. The only other thing that I want to call your attention to is the virtual background. We want to leave that on for students, just in case their environment's a little distracting. They have a way to kind of make sure that they can close off what's behind them. The one thing we want to turn off, though, is the video filters function. Zoom recently added the ability to add in filters, much like Snapchat or Instagram does, where you can, as a participant, add little ears or a little doggy tongue or a little pirate patch over your eye. You may want to bring that function in as a reward somewhere down the line, but as far as daily use, you'll want to make sure that that's turned off. And that is it for our settings. Don't worry if you missed some of that. Remember, we're recording this, and this will be posted on the website www.mrparra.org. So now that we've set up our settings in Zoom, make sure that everything is as secure as possible. We're going to use our left-hand menu, and we're going to go to Meetings. And now we're going to go ahead and schedule our meetings for the remainder of the semester in one recurring meeting. So we are going to want to use our big blue schedule a new meeting button. And we're going to want to set the naming convention as your name, Mr. Parra's Zoom class link. And we're going to want to start our recurring meeting on the 18th and set a starting time of 8 a.m. Now, the starting time and the ending time doesn't really affect when you can start or hold a meeting. You can actually begin the meeting at any time, and a student can join a meeting as long as you have started a meeting. But we want to set our recurring meeting link with that information just as general information for our students. So whatever your starting time is for the school day, that's what you'll set as your start time. And again, your duration, you can set it for the remainder of whatever your scheduled date is like. That way students are aware of when the beginning of the day is, when the end of the day is. You can also divide it by the first half of the day versus the second half of the day. That is up to you. You want to make sure to check in with your site administrator regarding the length of the meeting time. But like I said, the meeting time itself does not affect when you can start your meeting. It does not affect when the students can join a meeting. As long as you start your meeting, students can join at any time. So just for the purposes of this example, I'm going to set it for 1 hour. So this doesn't really matter for us, but this does, and that is the recurring meeting option. So we want to check that off. We want to change this recurrence from daily to weekly. And we want to set the dates that we're meeting with our students. Per the UTLA contract, the acceptable dates for um, meeting with students are Tuesday through Friday. For the elementary level, that is determined by which schedule your school site decided to accept. So I'm going to set this for all 4 days, but again, check in with your site administrator as to what contractual dates you're actually working and meeting with the students. Aside from that, we want to make sure that our end date is the last day of this semester, which is December 18th. Once we've set this information, we want to make sure security is checked off, that we have a passcode, that the video, host video is turned on, participant video is initially turned off. We set computer audio. We make sure that enable join before host is checked off, so that that doesn't allow students to come in and start the meeting without the instructor being there. We want to make sure mute participants upon entry is checked off, because again, you don't want to deal with the cacophony of sound as students are logging into your meeting. Now, this option right here towards the bottom, the alternative host, that is the person that you are designating as being able to start your meeting when you are not present. So check in with your site administrator, but most schools are either setting their principal, assistant principal, or SAA as their alternative host, so that if you are out sick or are unable to start the meeting for that particular day, there is somebody else who can log into their account and start your Zoom meeting to allow students to come in, or to allow a substitute to come in and then hand off hosting abilities to the substitute. So this is a very important option. All right, once you've set your alternative host, you're just going to go on save. And now I have my recurring meeting that starts from August 18th and it happens every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday until November 18th, or in this case, November 11th. The important part here that we're going to come back to and use is the invite link. We do not need to copy the invitation. And the parts that are important in this invite link are as follows. This front part right here, the lausd.zoom.us, lets us know that this is in the internal LAUSD network as a part of Zoom. This set of numbers right here is the identification to your account. When students click on this link, they are joining your meeting. And this part towards the end is the embedded password. This is what is going to prevent students from having to input a password when they click on this link. This link will take them directly into the meeting. All right, so we're just going to leave this information here. That's all we need to do for now. And we're going to go ahead and shift over to, actually, we're going to skip number 2 for a second and head over to number 3, setting up a Zoom link in Schoology. So we're going to go ahead and open a new tab and navigate to lms.lausd.net. And we're going to go ahead and open up Schoology. Now, I already prepared a course for us to use for our example. So I'm going to go ahead and use my upper left corner navigation bar. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and magnify this so it's a little easier to see. I'm going to click on courses. I'm going to go to the sample K5 course. Hopefully your courses have already populated into Schoology. If not, you can use your sandbox course to practice the skills that I'm going to show you in our sample course. So we're going to go ahead and click on our sample course. And the first thing we want to do is we want to deal with setting up our Zoom link. So the way we select and set up Zoom links in K5 environments is through the add materials, add assignments. When we do that, we're going to go ahead and call this start here. Mr. Parra's Zoom class link. And I'm going to show you a little deviation that I learned just the other day that that is going to make this a little more visually appealing to your students, easier to find, easier to use. So for this little trick, we're going to need to open up a new tab, and we're going to use a shortcut to open up a Google document. That shortcut is DOC for document dot NEW, new. So again, that shortcut is doc.new. You can always go to your Google Drive and open up a new document. But if you're already logged into Google and you type in doc.new and press enter, well, Google's just going to open up a new Google document for us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a clickable visual button for our kids. So we're going to go ahead and use the navigation at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and increase the magnification on this so it's easier to see. And in my navigation, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 over, insert. I'm going to go down to image, and I'm going to go to search the web. Search function has opened on the right-hand side, and I'm going to search for Zoom. Zoom logo. Found one right here. I'm going to go ahead and select it, have my little blue check mark. I'm going to go down and I'm going to click insert. Okay. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit so it's more of a manageable button. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to my tab that has my Zoom meeting information. I'm going to get to here, all we need to do is click on meetings and click on any one of your recurring Zoom class links. And we're going to scroll down a little bit until we get to the invite link. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select this using our mouse. So we're going to hold down the left button on the mouse and then drag it across the link until we highlight it and then let go. And then we're going to go ahead and right click and go down and copy. Again, that's holding down the left button, dragging over the link, letting go, and then right click and then heading down to copy. Okay, we're going to go back to our document. We're going to select, click on our picture. Notice how we have this little square that surrounds it. We're going to right click and we're going to go down to our option that says link. We're going to go ahead and right click paste so that our link is inside this little blue box, and we're going to apply. Congratulations, you've just created a clickable button. Now we need to get this button into Schoology. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select it, right click, copy, and we're going to go back to our Schoology page where we're in the middle of creating our assignment that we called Start Here, Mr. Parra's Zoom class link. We're going to click here in the Word area, Word box, and we're going to right click, paste. And now we have our Zoom button. And we can even add a little text that says, click on the image to join our class. And we'll add a little balloon emoji. Okay, we're going to set the due date to the last day possible in the semester. And I'll explain to you why in a second. We're going to set December 18th. We're going to set the category as ungraded. And then we're going to check off submission enable. And we're going to turn off comments. So the only thing that should be on is published to students. Okay, we're going to go ahead and create. And now we have our assignment and link. And notice that when we've created that assignment, that's also showing up in the upcoming session. The reason we want to create this as an assignment is because if we go back to the main page that students come to as soon as they log in, the thing they can see before they can see any other courses is upcoming assignments. And so if we set this assignment on the top, which I'll show you in a minute how to do, this is the first thing your students are going to see. And they'll know that as soon as they log in using their QR code for our K through 2 students, all they have to do is look for that Start Here, Mr. Parr's Zoom class link code, link, click on it, brings us to the little picture, click on the image to join our class. The kids click on that image, and boom, Zoom opens up for them. So I have a question in the chat that says, what happened to the visual? Can you elaborate a little bit on that question? Somebody go ahead and cancel this while I'm waiting for that response. So this is a very easy way, and you can actually overlay words on top of the image. I can show you how to do that, where you can say, click here for Miss Ashley's Zoom class, or you can create your own button. In fact, here, what we can do is if we go down, we use the insert drawing function. And so again, insert, drawing, and then new. And what we can do is we can select a shape, maybe a circle, and then go ahead and add some text. So we go to our little text box. Click here for Mr. Parra's Zoom class. I'm gonna select that so that I can align the text to the middle. And maybe I bold it and change the color to green. Oh, I don't like that. Purple? Yeah, purple's kind of cool. So great question. The question is, why are we going through Schoology? The reason we're going through Schoology is the only way that we can capture statistics about which students are logging on and which students are not logging on is if they log in through the Schoology portal. There's no way that we can capture those statistics through Zoom itself. So if the district wanted to know the percentage of students, or specifically which students are coming in to Schoology and logging onto those links, the only way we can capture that data is if the student logs into Schoology first. So the other part of it is that the district is embedding all of the Clever applications within Schoology, and they're phasing out the multiple accounts that students needed to use in order to access Benchmark and all the other applications through Clever. And now students will be able to log into Schoology and be able to access those applications directly from within Schoology. Is there an easier way to access Zoom besides this way? Well, we can do it without the visual, and I can show you how that happens. I'm going to go ahead and finish this button first before I move on. So I'm going to save and close. And so I have my button here. I go back, I right click, copy this information, right click on the button, link, paste that information, and I have this custom button. Yes, I can show you the easiest way to drop a Zoom link. So in order to do that, all we have to do is go back to our materials, add materials, add assignment. And we're going to go ahead and do start here. And now we're going to use these navigation buttons at the bottom of our word box, our text box. And we're going to use the second one, the link. We're going to go ahead and right click paste and title, click this link to join and attach. Again, we're going to set our due date to the furthest out, which is December 18th. We're going to set our category as ungraded. And we're going to create. And again, that sets our Zoom class link. We're going to go ahead and click on it and move it up. So it is the first assignment available to students. And so for a student, let me show you what that would look like. So we're going to use course options. And then since I don't have any students added, normally what you could do is click on course options. When you have students added to your course, you actually get the option to view the class as a student would. But the student would click on this first box and then click on the link that shows. I think we need to make a little bit of an edit. Oh, thank you for that question. So we are embedding our link, and I'll go back by creating the assignment. And then there's these navigation buttons underneath our text box. We're using the second one marked link. Right click link and paste our Zoom link. And I'm gonna make sure I didn't add in an extra space, and I did. That's why it gave me an error. Okay, make sure there are no extra spaces. And then I'm gonna put the title, click here to join our Zoom class, attach. Okay, now I know that the link has properly attached. I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And now when the student clicks on this assignment, they'll see the link, and all they have to do is click the link, and it'll take them straight into the Zoom meeting. The other question that I saw was, is it safe to use a recurring meeting? Originally, the recurring meetings were easily hacked. Yes, it is safer now. That's one of the reasons why we're using the embedded password, is to make sure that the ability for people to access that information is limited, again, by having that wall of protection, that logging into Schoology. One, to access the Zoom link. Two, the link itself is not visible to students. It is either set hidden behind this link right here, this set of words, or in the case of the button, hidden by the button. And immediately after a student clicks on one of the Zoom links, sorry, we got a little taken off. As soon as students click on that link, their meeting is immediately opened up, and the link itself is not available to students. So for our K through 5 students, this is going to be the safest and easiest way to embed those links. I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat again to see if there's anything else. If you're having an issue with your LAUSD Zoom account, go ahead and place a trouble ticket with ITD at itd.lausd.net, and I'll go ahead and link that in the chat. Okay. So those are the two ways to kind of put in that Zoom link information, either as a button or as a link. Now, let's say that your kids, so those steps are available in shorter videos at the www.mrpara.org website. but I can also type them out. If you're more of a written step-by-step, I can definitely create that and post that up. Can you schedule your Zoom meetings daily? Yes. It's just know that that's going to be a lot more work to make sure that you have those available, and you have to make sure that those are available ahead of time for your students so they can plan to be able to check in and be able to log in on time. Remember, parents, especially the first week, are going to be very anxious to make sure that the technology that they have available, that the links they have available, are things that they can try and test and make sure that they work either on their device or just from the directions they receive. Okay. One more thing that I want to show you, just so that you know, is that there's one other place where we can place this button to make it accessible to our students. So I'm going to go back to this first created button that I made, and I'm going to right click, copy. I'm going to go back to Schoology. And this is a hidden little trick Schoology has. If I go under materials to updates, and in my little text box, I go ahead and right click, paste my Zoom button. There's a little speech bubble with a plus sign next to post. I'm going to click on that. And this is to mark course updates as announcements, meaning, hey, this is really important. We need to call attention to it. So when we do that and hit post, the button itself is actually placed at the top of the class. So let me show you. So if we exit out of the course, go back to the main page, it's also in the stream. But if I go back to the course, it is the first icon students see when they click on the class. And when I click on that, again, it opens the Zoom meeting right away, doesn't ask for a password, you're good to go. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. Now, just so you know, this button ability can be used for other things. In case you wanted to, for example, and this is probably going to be for the older grades, you want to create a button for Google Classroom. Because sometimes Google Classroom's a little friendlier, sharing and creating Google resources. So we're going to go ahead and search the web and look for a Google Classroom logo. Click that logo that we want and insert. Resize it a little bit. And then I'm going to go to classroom.google.com. Now, once your students are set up with their Google Classroom, you can actually link your direct classroom link, so it takes the students straight into the class. But for now, we're going to use the generic classroom.google.com. We're going to copy this link, go back to our document, right click on our image, and we're going to go down to link, click on link, and we're going to go ahead and right click, paste, and we're going to apply. And now again, we've created that visual button, and we're going to go ahead and select it, right click, copy, go back to Schoology. And let me show you one more little trick with this. Let's say that I want my link right here on my page, not 2 clicks where students have to click on the assignment and then click on the link. Well, I can use the drop-down menu and create what's called a page. So I'm going to go ahead and add a page. And I'm going to call this Easy Buttons. I'm going to go ahead and click anywhere in my text box, right click, paste. I have my link in there. I want to make sure I click on display on a new page and click create. And now my button is easily available right out in the open. And again, students click on that, opens up wherever I link that visual to. If we want to organize that so that it's not just out all the time, I can use the add materials function, add folder. Select the purple. I'm going to call this easy buttons, create. Now I have a nice little folder that I can drag up. And then I'm going to drag this into my folder. There we go. And now I can close my folder and open my folder and have these buttons available for the kids. Any questions about the buttons or the Zoom link embed into Schoology? Oh, all right, no questions. Any questions about a button? Is there a way to keep a banner at the top? Yes. So anything you allow as an announcement using the updates function, that'll stay up here and will not be removed until you remove it yourself. Oh, what tab did I use to allow to search the web? Yes, great question. So when using the Google Docs function, I use the insert image and then the option to search the web. And then from within the document, I was able to search for a logo. So if I was looking for a duck, I get all my duck pictures right here. This is a prime duck picture right here with a little duck. I don't know if that's a penny or if that's its tongue. Anyway, once I select it, I can insert it. And there's my duck, which I'm going to resize. It's too big of a duck. Let's see, what did you click on to create the Zoom button at the top? No worries. I realized that sometimes this thing cuts in and out. So let me go through that again. So after I've created my button, I'm going to go ahead and select it. It's already got the link attached to it, which if you need to attach a link, you do right click and click link and just paste the link you want and apply. We already have our link set, so I'm going to copy the button. And to create my banner up here, first I'm going to remove this one. And then I'm going to go to updates. And when I go to updates, this text box is going to open. So I'm going to go ahead and click anywhere on the text box. And I'm going to right click, paste. Now that my button's pasted in the text box, before I click on post, there's a little speech bubble to the left with a little plus sign on it. I'm going to click that and then click on the little bell, which is an announcement. This is what's going to make this an announcement. Place extra importance on it and place it at the top of the course. So once I check that off, I'm going to go ahead and click on post. And now my link is at the top of my course. It doesn't matter which section I'm looking at. It'll always be at the top. Absolutely. Any other questions regarding the buttons or rearranging materials, folders, anything like that? Oh, that's an excellent question. Not sure. Let's find out. So let's go and open up Jiffy. And let's stick with our duck theme. And I want this dancing duck right here. Copy link. Copy the GIF link. And the reason I'm doing this is in documents, you don't always need to download an image to make it to bring it into the document. Google has this function under Insert, Image, and I go all the way down to by URL. And by URL, all I mean is where's the destination? Where is this material housed? So we grabbed the link telling us where this information, this duck GIF can be found. I go back, I paste it. Google said, yep, we found it. We know where it is. And all I have to do is insert it. I'm going to resize this. And I'm going to link this, I don't know, duck. Let's see, what do I get? To this video of a duck. So I'm going to grab this video link off YouTube, stop that, go back to my document, right click, link, and right click, paste, apply, select my button, copy, go back to Schoology, remove my banner that is there right now. Select my text box, right click, paste. Make sure that I check my announcement bell and click on post. And the answer to your question is yes, you can make a GIF a button. And there you go. The kid click on the ducks and it takes them to the duck video. So I just learned something new. All right. I feel like we got a little sidetracked on there. All right. Okay. So that's the link stuff. Let's go back to practicing Zoom functions and look at the poll feature. So again, this is going to be for your older kids or kids who may be a little more advanced in their computer practice. So in order to create a poll, we're just going to go back to our lausd.zoom page. And we're going to click on meetings because we need to decide, what meeting are we going to use our poll question for? So say, for example, I got today's meeting right here, the Tech PD. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And then if I scroll at the bottom of this meeting, I have the option to create poll questions, as well as put in information for live streaming. Right now, I just want to create a poll question. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the button on the right. And I'm going to click on add. I'm going to name or give a title to my poll. So this is going to be test poll questions. And I'm going to type my question. How are you doing today? Question mark. I want multiple choice and I'm going to say great, a little sleepy, meh, and all right, I guess. And I'm going to scroll down. I can continue adding questions to this particular poll, or I can save and just have this question available. So before I post this poll out to you guys, I want you to see what adding this and using this in your side as the host is going to look like. Unfortunately, I can't do it live because Zoom doesn't allow for the showing of the tools as a host while you're leading a meeting. But I pre-recorded this process, and I'm just going to show you just a little clip of that. So I'm going to navigate to www.mrpara.org. And there's that tab I was talking about, the PD materials on the upper navigation. And then we have the past PDs, some tutorials for Schoology, for parents and for students, Zoom tutorials. And let's see right here, poll function. And I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. Okay, creating the question. Okay, there we go. So what we're going to do is once we bring up our screen share functions, you're going to see this navigation bar on top. So right next to the box marked participants, you're going to see a button for polls. All we have to do is click on that button, and you see up here there's a downward pointing arrow. If I click on that, it opens a drop down menu that shows me the sets of polling questions that I've created. So if I go down to the one that we created, polling 3 sample questions, then it shows me all the questions that I've created under this poll. And all I have to do at this point is launch the poll. The poll will not be visible to participants. They're able to answer and interact with it. Please note, though, that you must have access to the application either on your phone or on your PC or Mac in order to use this function for participants. If participants are logging in using the web function, they will not see the poll. So as people are answering the questions to the poll, it gives me a timer, shows me how long this poll has been active. When I've decided that we're about done taking submissions, I'm just going to go ahead and click the end polling button. And then I have 2 choices. I can either share the results with the participants, or I can relaunch the poll question. But that's it. The whole process of both creating, deploying, and sharing the results are just a mere set of buttons that are within the user interface that makes it very easy to use. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found it useful. All right, that's enough of that guy. They can see it if you're on a Mac. What you need, though, is you need the application. So you need the Zoom application installed. For students, if they're on a Chromebook, they need the Zoom extension. So if we go to google.com and search Chrome Zoom extension, students need to be using this application in order to unlock all the functions of Zoom on their Chromebook. If you are logging on through your web browser, as some of us have done in the past, which all that means is that when this pops up, instead of opening Zoom meetings, we hit cancel and we join from the browser, then you won't have access to the functions such as polls or annotation or the whiteboard. So that's what I mean. Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Thank you. And then we had another question about, can we insert emojis as responses to the polls? I believe so, but I mean, we have the time. Let's go check. So this is today's meeting. So we're going to go down and we're just going to go ahead and edit our question. And number 5. Now, if you're on a PC, there's a shortcut for accessing an emoji keyboard, and that is the Windows button plus the period. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Windows period, and then I have my emojis. So let me look for my little happy faces and do a little smiley. Okay, and close it and save it. And let's see if we can deploy that. So I'm going to go ahead and click poll, launch poll. And for those of you who can see it and interact with it, please let us know. How are you doing today? Okay, looks like we've gotten at least everybody who has the application. Oh, darn. I wonder if we can add the emojis through get emoji. I wonder if we're able to do that. We'll try it in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now and share the results. And then we're going to stop sharing the results. And let's go back, edit our question. We can see the results and we can rerun it. I'll get back to you to see if Mr. Stasio, if I can figure out a way to get those emojis on that poll. Let's see. There was an earlier question. Can you take attendance through Zoom? At this time, you cannot. I know that it is a feature that they're looking to embed, and the way that would work is that students would log in using their MyMail accounts. So this would probably only apply to grades 3 and up. And then if they're logged into their LAUSD MyMail accounts once and they don't log themselves out or log in using a personal email, then what happens is every time they log into the meeting using that MyMail account, Zoom would just keep track of that participant information, that email address that's attached to their name. I know that similarly, Google Meets is working on that same feature and bringing it to their G Suite education service, which LAUSD has a contract with. So I know it's a bummer, but hopefully down the line, either Zoom or Google Meets will integrate that feature and they'll make it a lot easier to deal with attendance. In the meantime, just to show you a little trick, within Schoology, there actually is an attendance tracker. Unfortunately, it's not connected to MySys. I wish it was because sometimes it's a little easier to just jot down your attendance in the Schoology attendance tracker than it is in MySys, especially sometimes when MySys is being a little temperamental and it doesn't allow us to update attendance like it's supposed to. I was still in the classroom when we initially rolled out Schoology for middle school and high school. And I know that I use the attendance function as a backup attendance for my own records. So especially when MySys was being a little temperamental and I couldn't enter attendance there, I would enter it in Schoology. And then later on when MySys came back online, I would just copy my attendance over. No, so to answer your question, Mr. Estacio, you are only required to take attendance on MySys. The attendance on Schoology would just be if you wanted a separate record for yourself, but it is not required. The only attendance that is required is on MySys. Okay, now that we've covered that part, what's something? All right, let's look at the whiteboard and annotation function. Okay, great, that one works. All right, so you can kind of raise the interaction level within your classes by inviting students to participate in writing on top of graphic organizers that you present on the screen or on top of images. And so if you look at your navigation on the top of your screen, you should see an annotate button. It should be at the top of your screen. Actually, what I'm going to have somebody else do is I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to invite someone else in the group, if you could please. I'm going to go ahead and give you the ability to share. If somebody would share their screen with us now. then I will talk you through the annotation function. Thank you, Ms. Berry. Okay, and now if you move your mouse, all our other participants, all the way to the top of your screen, you'll see a little green bar that says you are viewing Ms. Berry's screen, and next to it, view options. If you click on view options and go down, you'll see the option to annotate. Once you click on that, then we can add little stamps. We can type hello, everyone. We can draw. And we can create arrows. Now, when Miss Berry gets tired of our shenanigans, what she's going to do is she's going to use her mouse to go to the top of her window. And she's going to look at that navigation bar at the top, and she's going to look for that button that says more and has those 3 dots. When she clicks on that more button with 3 dots, she's going to look for the function that says disable annotate. And then we are sadly no longer able to annotate on the screen. And then Ms. Berry can clear the screen out. It's like it never happened. Thank you, Ms. Berry. Appreciate it. Get a gold star. Okay, so let me go back to sharing. That's screen. Okay. All right. So any questions regarding the annotation function? Any other questions regarding polling, or is anybody interested in knowing how breakout rooms work? That might be a little too advanced for our kiddos. Or okay, oh, we got to take her. Yes, okay. Okay, all right, breakout rooms. So if you want, and I'll cover this first, if you want to select your groups prior to the meetings, the only thing you have to do is when you create your meeting, and I'll go back to our meetings. Let me edit our Zoom class link. And I'm going to go ahead and edit this meeting. All. And the only thing you have to do is require registration. And I'll tell you why. Because once once students register once for one of the meetings, then they're registered for all of your recurring meetings. And that means they will show up down here in this section, and there will be a new tab marked breakout rooms. And then you can create the number of rooms you want, and you can set where your participants go. Yes, and that's exactly what we're covering, Mr. Stasio. Once you require your students to register for the links, which means you have to get them to click on that registration link once. Then you're going to have their names associated with those recurring meetings, and that way you can pre-select which students are going to go to what rooms, and you can change that prior to starting your meeting. When you are in your meeting, and I have additional instructions in the mrpara.org website, you're just going to use your host navigation bar at the top, you're going to click on the three buttons that say more, and right underneath the chat function, you're going to see breakout rooms. So what I'm going to do right now is the first thing that Zoom wants me to do is determine how many rooms I want. So I'm going to tell it I want 4 rooms. And instead of setting this to automatic, which is going to just randomize who goes where, I'm going to click on manual. When I do that, I get the option to create the rooms. It shows me the 4 rooms, and then I have a little button next to each room that says assign. Once I do that, all I have to do is check off on the names of the kids that I want in the rooms. And once I've selected who is going where, yeah, I'm sorry that this is one of those things where I don't have a video for this right now, but I will create one and post it on the website. Otherwise, yeah, right now all we're getting is a black box because Zoom is not friendly when you want to just share what's on the host's screen, unfortunately. So bear with me for just 1 second. Let me finish. And I'm going to go ahead and send you to a room. You're going to notice that everything is dark, and that's only because you all have your cameras disabled. The moment one of you enables your camera, then you'll be able to see something in the room. So I'm going to send you to the rooms, and then I'm going to jump into each one of the rooms, ask a couple of questions, and then we're going to come back. All right, let's go on our little adventure. All right, and welcome back, everyone. The question was asked, how are we utilizing breakout rooms so the kids cannot be without a teacher ever? Per LAUSD, and this might be just for the older grades, so please check in with your site administrator. And I'll wait to make sure that everybody's back on. Per LAUSD, we are allowed to use the breakout room function as long as we are, as the instructor, jumping from breakout room to breakout room, and we are not leaving the breakout room completely alone for too long. Now, again, this might be middle school and high school, so you'll want to check in with your site administrator. But for middle school, for high school, it has been clarified that we can use the breakout room function as long as you as the instructor is going and visiting each breakout room, just like you would in your classroom, visiting station to station to station. So, but again, check in with your site administrator to see if they have any more clarifying information for the elementary school level. Great question. Somebody asked, is there a way to see all of the rooms at one time if you have an additional screen? Unfortunately, at this time, there is not. Each one of those breakout rooms is like their own little chat space. So with Zoom, that function is not available right now. I know there are other applications out there that do allow um, multiple rooms, but also a teacher kind of like ability to view into the rooms, but Zoom does not unfortunately offer that ability. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. All right, and let's see, making sure we're not too far away from our goals. Okay, we covered that, talked about that. Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions regarding Zoom, Zoom functions? Anything we'd like to ask? And let me check the chat one more time. Do you have the ability to do Q&A? Great question. Unfortunately, the Q&A function is only available in the webinar. So you need to have a webinar license to use the Q&A function. But if you work on norms, and I know this is tough, especially with our younger students, the chat box is a perfect location to kind of start working with kids on, okay, what is the appropriate way to work with the chat box? Okay, great. Somebody asked the question, how do we get the students to register when they're logging into Schoology? Schoology shuffles them into the meeting. The only change that is made when you change your link to a registration link is that when the kiddos click on the link, they're asked, and they're only asked one time, do you want to register for this meeting? So if you work with the parents ahead of time and tell them, hey, I need your help. We want to make sure that our kiddos are registered so that we can use and set up breakout rooms ahead of time to make sure that we are as organized as possible. I'm pretty sure you can get your parents or the kiddos' siblings to kind of help you along, because you really only need to do that once, because once they're registered for all the meetings, that's it. You don't have to do it ever again. And then the link goes back to just being that link that automatically takes the kiddos into Schoology. Somebody asked the question, can we place students in the waiting room instead of breakout rooms? Yes, absolutely. So I know that at the elementary level, you have a couple of breaks that are short, where it maybe doesn't make sense to have the kids log off. In that case, what you're going to do is you're going to go to your navigation bar at the top of your screen. You're going to click on participants, and your participants box is going to open up, and you're going to see everybody that's in the meeting currently. And then all you have to do is select the student, and when you mouse over their name, you're going to get an option for more. And there you'll have the opportunity to put that student in the waiting room. So for right now, I'm sorry, Miss Ashita, I'm going to put you in the waiting room. I promise I'll bring you right back. So I just put Miss Ashita in the waiting room. I can communicate with her through chat, but her camera is off, my camera is off, and there's no way to directly interact with that student except through the chat function. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her back in. And there's the little bell. Thank you so much, Ms. Ashita. Thank you for your cooperation. So for example, if you have like a 10-minute break or a lunch that's less than half an hour, putting the students in the break room is probably a better option than having them log off and then log back in. Because once you end your break, then you can just use the admit all button to let all the kiddos back in who are waiting in the waiting room. Okay, let me go back. We got a couple of questions. Let's see. How can we set up a virtual background? Great question. Okay. So in your Zoom application, and you need to have the application to do this, you have the option to create a virtual background. Right now, you can access that function by opening up your menu at the bottom of the screen. And next to the button that says video on it, you'll see a little arrow that's pointing down or up, I think in your case. When you click on that little arrow, you see a select camera function. And right underneath that, choose virtual background. Now, here's the limitation with that. If you're using a PC or Mac and you don't have a quad core, meaning that the processor, the brain of the computer, doesn't have 4 components or parts to it, you're not going to be able to use the virtual background. You're only going to be able to use it if you have a green screen, which is just a uh, chroma key, or just a background that is all one single color. The most recognizable one is the color green. So people reference a green screen. So even if your computer doesn't have a quad core to it, you could still use the virtual background function, but you just need to have that background that is just a solid color green. Let's see. For the Chromebooks, do you need the Chromebook Zoom extension to have a background? Yes, but unfortunately, none of the Chromebooks that the district has purchased have quad cores in them. So they're going to deal with the same issue. You're going to have a green screen behind you in order to be able to use the virtual background function. Let's see. Someone said they like my speaking Bitmoji. Do you have a video for that? I do have a video for that. If you're interested on where I got this little talking Bitmoji, I'm linking the name right now. It's called Lumi Live. And I'm actually using it in a combination with a Zoom virtual background, because you can use a virtual background with this type of avatar, 3D avatar. And so I can actually change my my background, and I can be out in the middle of a grass area, or out in the Golden Gate Bridge, or floating on top of the planet. I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Let's see. And so Lumi is free. You can download the phone app first to set up your avatar, pick its little features, and then you need a PC or a Mac to install the software. And what happens is, when you install the software on your computer, you're going to see a new option in Zoom. When you click on video, you're going to see a new camera, and it's going to be named Lumi Live Camera. All you do is select that, and the instead of your webcam being turned on, the Lumi is going to broadcast out. And all it's doing is it doesn't require your camera to work. It's just using the cadence of your voice to mimic the movement of the mouth and also the movement of the hands. Let's see. Can assistants be with students in the breakout rooms? Yes, because they actually check in with your site administrator for that question. I don't know if because usually that would require a certificated staff to be alone with students. I wonder if since we're being allowed to leave the breakout rooms briefly to visit the others, if having a secondary person in there, an assistant, for example, if that would be allowed. That one, it might be a little bit above my pay grade, so please check in with your site administrator. They're going to have a better understanding of that than I do. Okay. Someone asked, can you share a YouTube video with students on Zoom? Or is there some sort of copyright issue? So we've always had what we've called the education license. So depending on who owns that video, as long as you're using a snippet of it, if not the whole thing, a part of it, and you're using it in the act of introducing a topic or teaching something, that does not violate copyright. Can you upload your own personal virtual background? Yes. And I think I have it on this version where the last image that I use is actually a picture of my school site, Stephen White Middle School. And so that background is just one of our hallways. So yes, you can add your own virtual background. When you access your choose virtual background function, you'll see that above the virtual backgrounds, there's a little square with a plus on it. When you put your mouse over it, it says add image. And all that does is say, hey, where is the image that you want to use as a background? Okay, next question. Yes, so my virtual, so I can use a virtual background with my Lumi, yes. Is it possible to record on Zoom and focus on my screen and video only during a live meeting so students are not in the video? Yes. So for right now, for example, uh, none of you are on camera. None of you are in the recording because I've had you all turn off your video. But even then, um, as long as I'm running the meeting, what I can do is I can just click on uh, the meeting video of participants and just drag it off the screen that I'm recording. So you can do that. Let's see. Do you have Zoom protocols general for parents? For example, camera should be on child's face. Child should be sitting in a firm chair, not the edge of the bed. I do have something similar to that. Yes. So let me show you real quick. And this is also kind of a shout out to Adobe Spark. So this is at spark.adobe.com. And thank you for being so patient as we go through everybody's question. I want to make sure also to check the clock to make sure that we're still on time. Okay, we're still good on time. So sparkadobe.com is a free service from Adobe. They're best known for their Photoshop program. This application is free to use with your district single sign-on. And I'm going to show you one quick little project that I have dealing with Zoom norms. So right here, and this one's probably going to be a little lengthier than you would want for an elementary school. This is targeted more for a middle school, high school level, but you can definitely recreate this and shave it down to just the most essential items for what you want your parents to help you support. So for example, we have this one that says classroom rules and etiquette while using Zoom, reminding you that this is our virtual classroom. And again, my school site, the Stephen White Knights, we use this as kind of a gateway for a student. As a proud Stephen White Knight, I promise to. And then you have behave appropriately in the classroom, in a virtual classroom as expected in a real classroom. Follow the school dress code, present yourself as you would in a regular class. And use an appropriate image for your avatar. And I'm not going to read all of them because you get the gist of it. But basically, when you're creating projects with a Spark, it's a very easy process. So for that kind of card, I would use the Instagram post default. And what that does is it's going to give me a nice little square size. And then all I have to do is use my tools on the right-hand side, and I'm going to increase the size of this. And I can add a photo, and I can use free photos. And I'm going to use computer. And I'm going to make it my background. And I'm just going to hit the add button, add text, add my text, Zoom norms. And then once my text is there, I can click on it and drag it. And I even have this cool little function on the right-hand side that says style. And it gives me this little wheel. And when I spin it, it gives me different fonts and features that I might want to try with this. Ooh, and I kind of like that one. So I'm going to stretch it out and then just place it. And it's a very intuitive, very easy program that is completely web-based. You don't need to install anything. You don't need to pay for anything. It's free. There's free templates that you can change and apply. And it's very easy to use. I would highly recommend you going and playing with it. And again, this is spark.adobe.com. Yeah, I will link um, the the card that I showed you earlier. I'll place that on the www.mrpara.org website for you. Somebody asked, will Lumi work without a virtual background? Yes, Lumi will work without a virtual background. Thank you, Ms. Sandoval. Everything that I've done here today, you'll find on the mrpara.org website. They're linked already in the previous trainings that I've done. This one will also be available on that site. As some of you have suggested, I will create written directions for some of these steps. But if you want to see what that looks like through our process, there are videos available on the site that'll help you through that. Okay, I think I've gotten through all the questions. I want to make sure to go back to my slides to make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to setting up your gradebook because I want to talk about that elementary grade passback. I know in the past, the grade passback has not worked for the elementary level. So I want to make sure to just very briefly touch on how that's going to work. So I'm going to go back to Schoology and I have my class here. So at the beginning of the school year, I'm going to want to set up my grade book. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go through my my different options and I want to click on grade setup. Yes, this presentation will also be available on YouTube aside from my page on www.mrpara.org. It will also be part of the Carson Community of Schools website and the Community of Schools YouTube page. All right, so in the gradebook setup, I want to make sure that I click on the default elementary grade scale. I need to enter my categories by clicking add. And what I've done here is I've added my categories from the different domains of the report card. The reason I've done that is because when you create your assignments, you have to align them to one of the domains. I'll show you how to do that in a second. So what I wanted to do is when I align them, for example, to the English language arts, I want to select the category for English language arts so that parents can see the grades that are going into the ELA domain in the ELA category. I know it doesn't fix all the issues because it's still going to give you the overall percentage, but the way we can at least fix that is to hide the course calculator grade at the bottom. So parents and students are only looking at the individual categories to see what their point values are. Okay, so I'm going to click add. I add the name of my category. I set it to either total points or percents. I get the option to drop the lowest one assignment to so forth. And then I hit create and it'll create my category. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel because I have my elementary school domains already. The only thing else I need to worry about is setting the gradebook scale, which right now is set to numeric, but I need to change that to default elementary. Once I do that, then I'm gonna save my changes. And I only need to do this once. Once I have this set up, then I'm going to use this button on the upper right-hand corner that says copy settings. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy the categories, the grading scale, and the rubrics. And I'm going to copy this and select the rest of my courses. That is if you're going to use the same grade setup for all your classes. Again, I use classes and courses interchangeably because they're the same thing. All right, and so all I need to do is hit copy, and then everything's going to be copied over, my categories, the scale, and if I created any, my rubrics. I'm going to cancel this. And that's how you set up your grade book. If I go back to materials and click on the sample ELA assignment, the way we align our assignments to the domains is by either after creating the assignment or when creating the assignment, we click on this button right here, the one under learning objectives where it says align. And you can see right now from the text underneath it that this assignment, this sample assignment has already been aligned to the ELA making meaning from text domain. So I'm going to click on it, click on custom learning objective, click on school, click on LAUSD, elementary school, report card domains, and then I select which one of these of the domains and subcategories I need to select to align to this assignment. What this will do is when you are porting or using the MISIS grade passback, it's going to take the alignment and the assignment scores and associate them in the student report card to reflect the student's grade in each of those domains. And I wish I had greater or better news when it comes to that. But you know, the ITD is still working with Schoology to try to facilitate an easier way to make sure that the grades are imported in a way that makes sense with the domain report card information that needs to go out to parents. So I'm going to save changes. Does anybody have any questions regarding thank you for the question. So at this time, they don't have a fix for pre-K or TK, unfortunately. Does anybody have any other questions regarding setting up a gradebook or aligning an assignment to one of the domains? Okay. How do we change the percentage scores to rubric scores? Great question. So let's go back to materials. And I'm going to go to my sample ELA assignment, and I'm going to use the little spoke to edit it. And here, right here where I have my scale, I can change this from scale. And since I don't have any rubrics, I have to create a new rubric. And then I just, oh, there's the rubric. So actually, perfect. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to go ahead and copy this rubric, paste it. And now I have that ELA rubric for making meaning from text. Thank you for bringing that up. I hadn't had anybody else bring that up, and that is an excellent point. So now that I have my criteria, I click create, and now I have my scale. So when I save changes, I now have that rubric not only visible to students and parents, but when I go to grade the assignment, I can just click on the correlating grade. Thank you, Ms. Brown, for bringing that up. Say, could you open your gradebook, click on subject, see what it looks like? Yes, of course. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have any sample students. Let me get one in here real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I'm going to go back to members, and I'm going to use my nephew in this example. Yes, that's what ITD tells me, that placing the alignment into the assignment is what's going to allow elementary to use the MySays grade passback. And so this is what it'll look like. And let me really quick submit this assignment for my nephew, and then we can look at the grade book. Okay, perfect. So now all I have to do is, in the grade book or in the materials section, click on the assignment, and I can edit the grade using the rubric. And all I have to do is select, again, the correlating grade, save, and then if I want to add a comment, and then click on show to student if I want the student to see the comment. I can also go straight into gradebook and click the box underneath the assignment name next to the student and select the grade. Save, and that'll take care of that. Let me bring the chat function back on. Let's see, can we have students turn in assignments on Seesaw and input grades into Schoology? Yes, I believe the district is working with Seesaw to have Schoology integration. I'm not certain if it's ready at this time, but if you, I'll give you my email. If you please follow up with me, I can most definitely find out. And if a tutorial is needed, I'll go ahead and create one and share it out. Is there a way to create an assignment from, let's say, Edpuzzle and give it a grade on Gradebook in Schoology? Yes, there is. So Edpuzzle is integrated into Schoology now. So you can create an assignment to Edpuzzle and grade it straight into Schoology. And the way we would do that, and I'm going to go back to my materials page, is we need to add Grade Puzzle to our apps and navigation on the left-hand side. To do that, we use our waffle function and click on LMS App Center. And we just need to look for Edpuzzle. And we just click on Edpuzzle, install LTI app. I agree. And then just select the courses that you want to add to this. I'm going to add this to my sample K5. Okay. And if I go back to courses, I now have Edpuzzle available. And I can assign work through there and grade it in Gradebook, in the Schoology Gradebook. The next question is, do parents need to have a parent portal account in order to look at the grades for their child? The answer to that is yes. So parent portal allows access for parents to Schoology, as well as gaining parents access to the students' medical records, assessment records, the ability to change and update a contact card, and to update medical records for a student. All right, at this point, I believe we've covered everything on our agenda. Just as a little FYI, towards if you want to change the course picture so that students can easily differentiate your class from another class, all you want to do is add, or you want to just add a picture to personalize. You hover your mouse over the course picture, edit picture, and you can either use one of the defaults available, or you can attach a file, and use your own image. All right, at this time, I'd like to open it up to questions. I will take this last question in the chat. Can you assign students work to do on ClassDojo? I know the district is working on integration with ClassDojo at this time. It is not integrated, I know that much, but please follow up with me, and I hopefully will have better news to begin with. I know that at my site, we're going to be using ClassDojo as a supplemental communication application for some of our incoming sixth grade class to make it the transition into Schoology and Parent Portal a little less painful. If you have any other questions, this is the time. Otherwise, I believe we have our COSA, Ms. Henfield, who put this whole thing together for us, here with us, if she'd like to share out some words. If she's still, Ms. Henfield? You still here, Ms. Henfield? Okay, I think Ms. Henfield might be away for a moment, but I know she would be, again, very very happy to see just how many people showed up, of their own time to kind of get a head start. And just so you know, some of this will be reiterated during the webinar that it will happen the first week that we go back. Oh, there she is. Ms. Enfield, is your microphone working? You want to jump in and say some things? Or we're all just going to watch the dancing duck? Okay, well, I'm not going to hold you up. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. You have been a great set of participants. I appreciate all your questions. And like I said, I learned something new from you today. I never knew that, or at least didn't consider using GIFs as substitutes for images for buttons. But now I know I can, and I'm going to use them. I'm going to use them. So thank you so much. Good luck. And if you have any follow-up questions, you have my email in information. You have my website listing. I will follow up regarding the emoji questions, Mrs. Stasio. I have not forgotten about you, but at this moment, I don't think I have a solution yet, but I will. Thank you so much and have a great evening.
Daniel, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, shoot.
So when it comes to Zoom, I usually have difficulties when I'm sharing a screen navigating from, let's say, like a web browser, and I want to go into a Word document.
Mm-hmm.
It usually stays on the browser, and I'm already doing something on the document or whatever it is, but the kids can't see. So do I have to stop sharing and then go back and share in order to change through Windows?
Yeah, so what it sounds like is that you're using the share tab function instead of share desktop. So you want to make sure that your share desktop ability is not turned off in the settings on lausd.zoom.us. I've had that problem in the past too. If you only have the option to share a tab, when you move to any other tab on your browser, it's still going to be transmitting just the previous tab that you set when you activated share screen. So always make sure that when you hit share screen, that the option underneath the screen that you're sharing says desktop or screen 1 or screen 2.
Which do you mind? I don't know if it's easy to.
So I don't think it's possible to show that part here. because if I bring it up, I think all you guys see is a big gray
Oh,
square,
okay.
right? Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and create a video and I'll post
Okay.
it on the mrpara.org website.
So that has nothing to do with the default settings, right?
No.
Okay. So once again, it's share.
Share, and then the function should either be that you're looking for is desktop, or if you have multiple screens, you'll see the option for screen 1 or screen 2. If it
Okay.
has just the name of like the website, you know that it's only sharing the tab, that single tab on your uh, browser.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you, Miss Hempfield. We all appreciate you coming out. I'm sorry your mic doesn't work. Next time, though, next time.
Hi, Afia.
And I will be sticking around. If you have any other questions, I'm here until I'm the last person here.
Hello, I have a question.
Oh, hi.
So I created my course because I'm an intervention teacher, so I
Mhm,
don't have a course that's uploaded. I don't have a roster.
mhm.
I created my course with a section 1 and section 2, and now I want to go back and revise it, and I can't remove section 2.
Yeah. So unfortunately, for whatever reason, those are blocked off and can only be altered by an admin from Schoology.
Okay.
When I do that, and because I've done it a number of times, because we use that same process to create intervention classes for our students.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have to go back and delete the course or archive the course.
Okay. I started
Yeah.
a new course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that I might recommend is unless you're expecting to provide like assignments for the students that you're working with, a group might be better. It's easier to navigate. It has fewer functions so that students aren't so distracted by all the menu items.
Yeah.
So it's easier to communicate with them and keep them on track.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll look into that. Thank you so much.
sure, absolutely.
Hi, Daniel. I was on the wrong computer.
Well,
I had one Zoom on this computer, one Zoom over there. I didn't realize I had never Zoomed over there before.
that's what happens when you're too busy.
Thank you so much. 52 teachers. Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we were able to keep everybody engaged.
Yeah, and then you get to do it again tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I think I'm finally finding that groove.
Yeah, I so appreciate it, and I'm impressed by all the teachers that jumped on today, and they'll probably come back tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of great questions, and we all learned something new. We learned that in Schoology you can create buttons as little gifs. So we have our little GIF buttons. Where did our dancing duck go? We have a dancing duck now. And our dancing duck here, if we click on him, takes us to a YouTube video. But we could also set it so that the duck takes us to our Zoom meeting.
So it's something to engage the kids and get them excited. Like
Exactly. I was like, click on the dancing duck, and he's gonna take you to our Zoom meeting.
Well, I love it. I mean, the teachers get another dose on those first few days of PD.
Mhm.
These teachers are already be ahead of the game because
Exactly. They're gonna be the go-to
that was
people.
my intention.
Mhm.
So maybe I can use some of these teachers to help the other teachers.
Absolutely. You hear that, folks? You're all technology leaders
Taking
now.
down everybody's name. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure, absolutely. Anything we can do to help our teachers relieve some of that stress and
Yes, because it is
get
stressful.
ready for. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
definitely is. Somebody put see you tomorrow. I know that's I will be back too.
Okay.
I will be back too.